Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's Friday night, and I know I promised to post this review on tomorrow, but I thought I'd jump the gun and post it tonight. So in a few moments, you'll hear my thoughts and feelings on episode 10 of season 3's Put a Ring on It. This episode is the last episode before the season finale, and what I can honestly say about it was that it was not only a complete waste of time, but it was a complete mess as well. But I won't prolong this any further, so here's the review. The episode kicks off with Dr. Nicole meeting with the couples and giving the women the assignment of putting on the wedding dress of their dreams and envisioning their future. So after the group meeting is adjourned, the women are shown meeting up at a wedding dress store, trying on their wedding dresses, and getting drunk off champagne. This scene was definitely filler, because the women spent the majority of the time rehashing their issues that they have with the men, as well as complimenting one another on how good their booty meat and titty meat look in their respective wedding dresses. We then see Shay and Alfonso going out on a date. They go to a nice place that's almost as upscale as Red Lobster, but while they're at this place, they talk about their issues within their relationship. And when I say they talk about their issues, I mean that Shay talks about Alfonso's issues, and what it would take for her to not leave their relationship. Alfonso uses this time to have the server present a bouquet of roses to Shay, which brings a smile to her face. Later on in the episode, as a part of Alfonso's promise to Shay, he calls up his baby mama and tries to come to an understanding with her when it comes to Shay. The baby mama isn't really happy to talk to Alfonso, and it shows during their conversation, but they at least end things amicably. Otis then goes on his date with Shorty, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Shorty is a much better match for Otis than Charlie. But by judging by Otis's behavior during the date, it's pretty clear that Otis had absolutely no intentions to give off any romantic vibes or see where things could have gone with Shorty. In fact, it was pretty clear that Otis only went on this date to make Charlie jealous, which was not only immature, but it was also a waste of time to Shorty, who seemingly had some kind of hope that Otis would pick her. We then see Charlie meeting up with Chris, and just like with Otis and Shorty, Charlie only went on this date to make Otis jealous. But when Charlie lets Chris down as softly as she could, Chris in turn lets Charlie know that if she ever becomes single again, he'll definitely be waiting, which in my opinion makes their date a waste of time, because she really didn't need to go on a full date with him to tell him any of that. Later on in the episode, Kenny and Shorty then go on a date at a professional cuddling studio. My initial reaction to this date was that I hope it was for free, because they could have cuddled and did all that stuff in the comfort of their own home. But it doesn't take long for them to start arguing. Shorty tells Kenny what she needs from him, and she demands a plan of action. Kenny fails to give Shorty the answer that she desires, and it's clear that they're not on the same page. After their date ends, they go back to their place, and this is when Kenny shows his whole hind parts. The editing for this part of the episode is somewhat BS, because we essentially see Kenny drinking and just going off on Shorty, and Shorty's just sitting there smiling during the whole time, as if the argument just came out of nowhere. Kenny starts to rant and say some very disrespectful things to Shorty, and this is when she accuses Kenny of needing to get liquored up to tell her how he really feels about her. Now, I would fully support Shorty's statement if she didn't sit on the show for 10 episodes and use every passive-aggressive technique to get Kenny to break up with her, instead of telling him how she really feels. But this is when Kenny starts to call Shorty out of her name, and we see a very ugly and potentially dangerous side of Kenny. Shorty and Kenny then break up, but we all know how their breakups can magically turn into makeups. But after this scene, it's essentially impossible to justify any of Kenny's actions or the hurtful words that he said towards Shorty. But overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode a solid 2. There was really no need for this episode to air, because the couples really didn't focus on any of their issues preventing them from getting married, and the level of drama that was present during this episode far exceeded anything that I needed to see after a hard day's of work. I know I'm not the only one to think this, but I'll be extremely glad when the season is finally over. But this marks the end of my review. If you have any questions or comments, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll be sure to reply to each and every comment. Also, on tomorrow, I'll be posting my reviews for episode 2 and 3 of WE TV's Commit or Quit. So be on the lookout for that. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.